I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. We are both wearing black because we are previewing the Thursday night football game against the Chicago Bears for our Washington Commanders, and we're wearing all black. I am Amit. That is KDot. KDot, how you doing today?
And I always wear black.
I know.
But unless I do pull the trigger on...
I just gave it a reason this time.
Yeah, my reason is that black's fucking awesome. Come on, man. Like, it's just
I'm rocking it too. I'm rocking it too.
You're rocking it. You're rocking not enough black. I mean, I see some other colors in there, but it's just, yeah, no. You guys might see me in the next few weeks rocking some other stuff, just in the sense of found a new South Korean jersey plug. Might pull a few triggers.
Okay, well, I might be pulling a few as well off of that connect. If you enjoyed today's episode, before we get into it, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and KDot.
Share this shit. Share that shit. This shit. I forgot my catchphrase.
I think they both work. Share that shit. Share this shit. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. So again, we are playing the Chicago Bears, who are my preseason NFC North champions. So far, returns not great in that regard. They are 0-4. They are winless. They are defeated. Everything you can say about them, bad. It applies. KDot 2023 Chicago Bears, not looking good so far. What do you make of the first 4 games that they've played? And what are expectations for them moving forward this season?
Super Bowl, NFC North champions. And do you have them in Super Bowl, right?
No.
Oh.
No, the New Orleans
NFC
Saints.
Championship. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, the Saints. Whew. Yeah, just like your Broncos. I
never had the Broncos in the playoffs, just to be clear.
You just had them beating us.
And then Chase Young played. Anyway, let's not derail. Go ahead. The Bears. Talk about the Bears.
The Bears. They have been a dumpster fire of a clusterfuck. Like, there's the aspect of what I've been hearing along my circles of people knowing that I'm a Commanders fan is that, hey, you got a new Commanders. It's the Bears. They're dysfunctional as shit. You got Justin Fields and not throwing the coaches under the bus by throwing the coaches under the bus and then having his press conference afterwards say, oh, I didn't do that. They've been a mess. They up until last week when they were playing the winless Denver Broncos, everyone was looking at like these guys are going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. They just look horrific. Defense bad, and offensively, this was supposedly they were that sexy. Like I should probably ask you what articles you read that the sexy pick going into this year as far as the NFC North and the Aaron Rodgers vacuum. But so far offensively, it just hasn't necessarily clicked all that well throughout the course of this season. They go get DJ Moore, it just doesn't work out. And the biggest thing about it was that Justin Fields, who at Ohio State was very much a pocket passer, could be a pocket passer because the Ohio State receivers were fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. But he gets into the league and because of the lack of offensive line that Chicago had or offensive weapons, his legs have been a mainstay for him. And this year that has not been the case. So Chicago has been a mess up until last week against the winless Denver Broncos. They played 3 quarters of fairly solid football. Right. Justin Fields looked good. Everything was going great. And then it all fell apart. And the Denver Broncos under Russell Wilson come charging back, and they lose the game. And now they're sitting at 0-4, still very much in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Very much so. And the reason I picked them to win the NFC North, right? Why don't we quickly jump into that for a moment?
Avoid any publication you read.
I was not a big believer in the Detroit Lions staying consistent. I figured with expectations, maybe they would drop a little bit. Minnesota Vikings, I thought there would be some regression to the mean. I think we're seeing that right now. I think they'll end up being okay, but not good enough to make the playoffs. And then the Green Bay Packers, I thought would be good, not great. I have them, of course, in a tie for that 7th playoff position with us. This is all preseason, mind you. And I did think that Justin Fields, who I did have in fantasy last season, so I recognized how good he was, at least from the fantasy perspective, getting a DJ Moore and now being able to use his legs and also have, to me, a really good number one option over there. I thought it would start working. The defense I had questions about, but I thought they would outscore teams. That has not been the case. And I'm very thankful for that. So we're going to go ahead and jump into now the matchup breakdowns. Let's begin with the Commanders offense against this Chicago Bears defense. So for this, you need a little bit of context, guys. So Eddie Jackson is going to be out for this game, their starting safety. And then Jalen Johnson is also going to be out, one of their corners. And Jaquan Brisker, this is a big one too, other safety, just picked up a hamstring injury. He was limited in practice. He is now questionable. So you've got some injuries on that side of the ball for the Chicago Bears. And then on the offensive side of the ball for us, it's Jahan Dotson, who has a bit of an ankle problem, but it seems to be minor. He ultimately is going to be active and playing. Curtis Samuel with the quad, but he is going to be playing. It's only Chris Rodriguez Jr. That is going to be questionable. And he's just, I think, apparently not been feeling well. So that's the injury report on that side of the ball. Now let's look at this. The Chicago Bears defense is bad, KDot. The minimum number of points allowed by the Chicago Bears as a whole, this includes, some offensive, like a pick six, fumble return, whatever. It's 27 points. Okay. And otherwise, every other team has hung 30 plus on them. We are coming off a pretty nice game against the Philadelphia Eagles where we scored 31 points. So, KDot, the question is, expectations for Sam Howell, Eric Bieniemy, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, Terry, Jahan, etc. What are the expectations for this game?
Expectations. Those are funny things, right?
Indeed they are.
So what should be looking at what it is this team just did against Philadelphia Eagles with the arguably the most fearsome foursome front four in all of football, say for maybe not going to include us anymore, but the San Francisco 49ers. And we hung 30 points. So like that, the aspect of that compared to these guys, you'd say from a talent perspective, minimum 70 points. We should challenge what the Dolphins did. So like, at least that's what you think, right? Like, but who knows? So like the Chicago Bears defense, if you look at them going from last year into this year, they just haven't been good. We know Ryan Pace, GM, everybody that there in Chicago are going through a full rebuild process, and they haven't really got around the defensive players just yet, as much as trying to get things kind of solidified around Justin Fields unsuccessfully, and then get the defensive line, especially the defensive line, is like non-existent. There's not a single. I challenge any of you guys, anyone listening, you can hop in the comment box right now or ask anyone around you that know football to name a guy on the Chicago Bears defensive front. I give you a moment to do that.
You want me to do it, or you're just talking about the general you?
You can try. You want to?
I've got one, because if I could just jump in on your point that they're basically non-existent, Yannick Ngakoue is on this defensive line.
You wouldn't know it.
He has 1 sack. The only reason I do is because we do this show.
Right.
He has 1 sack. 2 other people have half a sack. 2 sacks on the whole season. KDot, go ahead.
There you go. So this is a defense that has not been good. The thing is that you talk about a Washington team who we have seen with Sam Howell every week is that he's been what looks to be receptive to feedback and doesn't necessarily make the same exact mistakes over and over again. There's still the one through line is that he's holding on the football entirely too long. So knowing the Washington offense is also a team that gave up a lot of sacks to the Denver Broncos defense, which is also extremely unheralded. We're not entirely sure. We're not sure exactly what it is Chicago will do defensively, but as far as those sack totals go, as far as Sam Howell getting hit, but he should have ample opportunity to get those numbers up as far as the passing yards. Terry McLaurin should be involved. Jahan Dotson should be involved. Curtis Samuel should be involved. It looks like those 2 guys practice, as you said. And this should be a full-blown primetime example on offense. Eric Bieniemy, these guys, what are you guys capable of doing? This should be throw everything out at them. This should be a high-scoring game from our perspective if we are actually legit, and you can look at that Philadelphia game and say, hey, there's something there.
So there are a couple layers to our side of the ball where I just want to talk about us, right? Forget the opponent for a moment, us. This is an opportunity to have back-to-back good offensive games. We have yet to do that. The game against Arizona, it wasn't that good offensively,
No.
right? But then all of a sudden we play Denver, it's good. Then we play Buffalo, not good offensively. Then we play Philadelphia, it's good. This is an opportunity to be able to put together back-to-back offensive games that are good. So let's do that. There's also the primetime spot for us. Thursday night, it's the Bears. Everyone's bitched about it. Sorry about it, but you're going to have to watch this game. What else are you going to do? So you're going to see it, and it's an opportunity for Sam Howell, for Eric Bieniemy, for Ron Rivera to be able to say, hey, we are a team this year. Good teams would see this Chicago Bears team and just smoke them. That's the reality of the situation. Excuse me. That is, again, 27 points is their minimum allowed total this season as a team. So we need to be putting up 30 plus. We've already done it twice this season. Let's make it 3. So I'm expecting at least 400 yards of offense against this Bears defense because they've already done that twice in their 2 road games so far. This is their 3rd one. It's a reasonable expectation at this point. So 400 yards of offense I want to see. And then Sam Howell, you're allowed 2 sacks because as I'd mentioned earlier, this Chicago Bears defense would have doubled their sack total for the whole season with 2 against us. That's all I have to say on the offensive side of the ball, KDot.
All right. I think that 2 might be asking for a lot, even. Once again, you were able to name a defensive front guy for them.
I was.
That guy should have 4 himself. Just because you can name him. I think with the 3 sacks, I think against Philly came against a linebacker, not the front 4, which is weird as shit.
Yeah, well.
So things happen. But yeah, I think you're right. But this should be offensively just for us. If we're just talking about us, who are we? Who are we going to be as far as dictating to defenses? We got to run right now, guys, where we have some teams that are not necessarily as good. And we've got to kind of impose our will if we're going to be a playoff contending squad here in Washington. And sitting right now at 2-2, looking at the New York Giants and how they look like a colossal mess right now, this is our opportunity, especially offensively, to show who we are.
Yes, perfectly agree with that statement. And this is not just who we are on offense, who we are as a team, like you had mentioned. This is where you can announce yourself. This is where you let us know who we want to be, us fans, who we want to be this NFL season. Okay. Because again,
on ESPN on Friday.
Yeah. NFL Network, Good Morning Football, all that jazz. Yeah. You're going to get talked about on Friday. What is the narrative going to be? And we're playing a team bad enough that this is well within our control. The one thing that Chicago does reasonably well on defense, they're stout against the run, actually. They're allowing less than 4 yards a carry. So this is, once again, setting up for the Sam Howell show. Like, it really should be good for our wide receivers, for him. And I still expect it to be good for Brian Robinson because he's been excellent so far this season. And I even expect Antonio Gibson to get some as well. Why don't we go ahead and shift over to the other side of the ball? So we've got our Commanders defense against the Chicago Bears offense. Now, the Chicago Bears offense, of course, we had mentioned Justin Fields. That's their starting QB. DJ Moore just had a bit of a breakout game himself. Cole Kmet, their tight end, scored a couple times against the Denver Broncos. Everyone throws on Denver, though. That Chicago Bears offense against our Commanders defense. KDot, keys, expectations. What are your thoughts there?
This is going to be one of those things where I have the giant question mark. Who are we defensively? So, one would think, like I've said when we were previewing the Chicago Bears as a whole, Chicago has been pretty much a mess offensively until last week against Denver, where they had 3 very, very good, damn good quarters of football offensively against the Broncos. Now, you'd think, okay, the Broncos defense, not necessarily unheralded, but it's a team that scored on us too. So, like, at the end of the day, who are we going to be defensively? We know defensively, we've talked about it. Every season, we've started the season off pretty fucking rough defensively. We're talking about now going into this game, 3 back-to-back opponents have scored 30 points on us. We have giving up damn near 400 yards a fucking game. Who are we going to be? Are we going to be the defense that plays down to the offense that allows them to do certain things? Or are we going to be the defense that says, nah, not today. Fuck this shit, and go after them and dictate to the offense what it is we are. Like, I think looking back even rare cases, we actually played the Chicago Bears last year.
Yes,
one
we
of those out of division games that actually have a back-to-back year thing. And we held them to a grand total of 7 points. This should be along the lines of what it is we're seeing defensively for us against them. We need to be very much throttling across all lines, at least playing from our talent standpoint. The thing is, like, I can't necessarily break down X's and O's or even the key matchups necessarily against these guys.
Sure.
Because I mean, you'd want to say, all right, what's DJ Morgan look like against Emmanuel Forbes? What's what is he gonna look like against Kendall Fuller, who's been grading actually pretty high according to PFF all year, surprisingly. Well, I guess his name doesn't get called that much. It's usually Forbes is getting beat, even though
he's a rookie. It's
sidebar,
gonna happen.
If you were one of the fans making Emmanuel Forbes' life a living hell to the point at which he had to deactivate his fucking social media yesterday, fuck the fuck off. You're a piece of shit. We said it even on this pod after post game. I sat here and said Emmanuel Forbes had a rough day. We can acknowledge that. We can point that out, and also know he's a fucking rookie. Rookie cornerbacks usually go through a lot of growing pains, especially when the defense itself is not playing well. It's all steps through the process, so chill the fuck out on that. I don't look at the Chicago Bears against this defense and say, I don't think what it is they did against the Denver Broncos is indicative of who they are. I think they are bad. I think they're badly coached. I don't think they have a ton of talent. I don't think that they're running properly. And if we're supposed to be the defense that's supposed to be a top 10 defense, it's supposed to be all these first round picks, then treat them that way.
Yeah. I think that's well said. And I think Jack Del Rio, this is a moment where you have to announce yourself, right? So like early on, even last season, we weren't doing very well. And then the defense began to turn it around. Well, it's around time we do that again.
Yeah.
So we are playing the Chicago Bears. I agree. They're not well coached. And this time, KDot, the last 2 games we've gone against the Buffalo Bills, we've gone against the Philadelphia Eagles, and we have said, stop the run. The Chicago Bears can run. Roshan Johnson, Khalil Herbert, they average around 4.8, 4.7 yards per carry. That's pretty good. Justin Fields can run. But unlike a matchup with the Buffalo Bills where they have Josh Allen, unlike a matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles where they have Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields overall is struggling this season. There's a lot of internal turmoil when it comes to this offense. And 3rd and long against the Chicago Bears, you might score on defense because they've already allowed 3 defensive touchdowns. Okay, so this is an opportunity to be able to find pay dirt. Heck, could be great for Emmanuel Forbes, who was known as a ball hawk in college, to be able to take one to the house. There is opportunity on this side of the ball as well. There's opportunity on both sides. Personally, very excited for it. But yeah, get these guys into even 3rd and medium, I think, against the Chicago Bears, and they might find themselves in trouble, honestly. The one other thing I would say, and this is interesting, Chase Young. There were a number of clips that came out showing him on the outside, where he would rush all the way out, maybe a little too far, it would create a rushing lane. I'm not going to pretend I know whether that's correct or incorrect, right? They could be asking him to do it. They could not. Either way, whether it's Del Rio, whether it's Chase, I don't care. We need to make it better because we talk about lane discipline a whole lot. We're playing another QB that can use his legs. We need to make sure that lane is, in fact, disciplined. KDot. What are your thoughts on all that, actually? The Chase Young, Jack Del Rio, if you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about because it's something I've been constantly pointing out is that these guys aren't being, there's no scheme.
It starts with the coordinator, right?
Right. So like Chase Young is freelancing.
You think so?
I don't think there's any way around it. He is clear, but I do think that freelancing is a part of what Jack Del Rio is allowing within the confines of the defense. Because as you said, we talk about where are the stunts, where this
would love to see a few.
What you see is 4 guys, extremely talented guys, doing everything they can in their individual ability to make plays happen.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys have a little more latitude in doing things than others. You're not going to have Daron Payne taking 5-step back and running around on the other side and doing this, that, and the other because of positioning plays. Montez and Chase have the opportunity to do just a little bit more of that. I think Chase is probably a little more confident. Not saying whether or not they're actually they're warranted, but he is confident in his abilities to probably cover more space. So he's doing a little bit more as far as his freelancing, and it looks more egregious.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I look at that defense as a whole, and I can look at the Jack Del Rio time here in Washington, and I could probably count on my hand. I think I could count easily on at least on one hand the defensive games that I thought, okay, you scheme the fuck out of that, boy. One case in point, we just saw them play the New York Giants. There is now a blueprint on how to play Daniel Jones and the New York Giants, and it was written by Jack Del Rio. As far as what they're doing in getting in pressuring Daniel Jones and allowing him to make the miscues, you can point to games against us in which Jack Del Rio was great in scheming something. I just haven't seen that rarely this season, other than a couple blitzes that I've seen here and there, but I don't see things within the confines of the standard defense that I'm loving or sound like they're too strict on, or strict enough, I should say, on where it is that guys need to be at any given point in time.
I think that's very well said. And let's move over to the predictions because I think that ends on a good note. Where the Commanders are 5.5-point favorites at home again, and the over/under is 44.5. So KDot, as always, I need a score, I need a winner, and I need a player of the game.
I liked what I saw against Philadelphia from this team, at least offensively.
Okay.
I think the Chicago Bears defense is trash.
I agree.
We're going to go 33-17 Commanders. Your player of the game, Sam Howell.
Okay. The reason I'm laughing is because I have 34-17 Commanders. Oh. So just a point off Sam Howell. Also, player of the game. I do expect, and I'm predicting it now, a Jamin Davis scoop and score. I do think that's going to end up happening. I think Justin Fields might be scrambling a little bit. Maybe he gets caught in the pocket, gets stripped. I think Jamin Davis picks it up. He's quick, ends up scoring. So I do think we end up getting a defensive score as well. I expect Howell to control the game. 27 offensive points is still plenty. And so I fully expect us to do well over there. Now, moving over to the betting side of things, we have built a parlay for you guys. I'm going to let KDot let you know what it is because he was the primary builder of it. KDot, go ahead.
Yes. So just let you guys know my bona fides. I am right now on this season 72% correct in my games picked, which is damn near unheard of. I'm up quite a bit monetarily on my units this season, except for last week. It was an absolute fucking clusterfuck, and I hated everyone and everything. Except my lovely girlfriend, who is within an earshot. Feeling pretty confident this week,
Good.
Bounce back. We got 3-leg parlay here for you. All Commanders lines, stand away from the Chicago Bears. We're just going to go over 40.5 points. We know the defenses on both these teams have been suspect. There should be some points scored. We're going to go over 200 yards for Sam Howell because, as Amit said, they have at certain times been stout against the run. I'd actually say it's usually just because teams don't run because they know they can pass on them.
Fair enough.
But Sam Howell, 200 passing yards. We've seen Sam progressively get better and especially last week against Philadelphia. Lots of targets to Jahan, lots of targets to Terry. If you keep that formula up, the yard totals are going to go up. And speaking about Terry, the third leg, 50-plus receiving yards from Terry McLaurin. He's getting more and more involved in the offense. I think Eric Bieniemy is getting more comfortable with scheming up certain things, and Sam Howell's letting that fucking ball fly to him. 3 legs, plus 145. Go ahead and double your fucking money up. Over 40.5 get total game points. Sam Howell, 200-plus passing yards. Terry McLaurin, 50-plus receiving yards.
There you have it. And I'll recap it one more time as well. So again, that's Sam Howell over 199.5 passing yards, so 200 or more. We got Terry McLaurin, 50 or more receiving yards, and we got an over-under of over 40.5 points for the whole game. And this was District Divided, a DC Sports podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and KDot.
Share that shit.
Share that shit. Thank you guys for listening. Enjoy yourselves, and after the pod begins right now.
Boom. We could lose this game.
It's entirely possible. That's why we save it for after.
Oh, that would be rough.
The narrative on this team would change considerably. But it also, like, here's the thing.
I don't know about that.
And this is where the here's the thing kicks in. That this would mean probably that the offense had a down game, which is consistent with the season so far.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense is still struggling, which would, well, be consistent with the season so far. So if we continue with the current trends on both sides, then we could lose. Certainly. What we're asking for, you and I think it's a reasonable expectation against a bad team on a short week. They're playing back-to-back road games, the Chicago Bears are, is to blow them out. And I think that's fair.
I'd agree with everything you're saying. Yes. The only counter that I have the potential is the defense for us is legitimately bad, and we are in a shootout. And in a shootout, Justin Fields just miraculously is able to have the ball last. We can't stop shit, and he goes and wins the goddamn game. It's got to be a blowout. So, like, even when I was saying, like, we both predicted 17 points for fucking Chicago, but it's like, we're predicting that score based off of hope. I don't think it's based off of anything we've seen.
Really?
I do.
I think it's...
Do you think Fields is more or less talented than Russell Wilson?
I think more, but I think the coaching... Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. But I also think the coaching, to your point, during the show, for the Chicago Bears has been so bad that Fields, you were talking about his footwork in one of the episodes, right?
Yeah.
How it's different. That it's so sort of in their head, messed up. And when you're 0-4, it's not easy to get that first win. When you go on a slide like that, and the way they lost the Broncos game, right? Like they were up, it looked comfortable, and then all of a sudden they blew it. Like that is a team that is very low on confidence. And now it's a short week. It's easy to lose twice, if that makes sense. Like you're still caught in Denver. You're still caught thinking about that game. Man, how close that was. And now you got to get up and do it again for another 60 minutes, and you're on the road again. Third game we've sold out of 3. We're getting that sort of ownership juice and bump, right? Like I think it's just going to be a whole lot.
I'm with you, but this is also what we gave up 33 to Denver.
Yeah.
And you think Fields is more talented, even though coaching is bad.
Yeah, but we're also at home. I do think that there's a difference there.
And it's sold out game.
Sold out game.
Metro's even working with the team this week.
How nice is that?
It was awesome. They still, I'm waiting to hear shuttle buses. They need shuttles.
It is
up that fucking hill. I'm hoping, man. This would be, how awesome would it be to just see a legit Washington blowing out the fucking Chicago Bears on primetime?
Oh, and I think the fan base more than deserves it as well. Like I think it is at that point, and it's super. It would be super cool also from the Sam Howell perspective, right? Especially if he's the one to do it, right? Where I think the national media took notice because we played the Philadelphia Eagles, and they go, by the way, Sam Howell, pretty good player. If he were to play well again, this time on the national stage, the narrative around him now goes, oh man, they're already they may have a QB in Washington.
They're there.
They can go, right. They're already there. They could go even closer to, they do have one. And we play Atlanta, New York. After that, we get 10 days rest. We go to Atlanta. If they play Desmond Ridder, I feel really good about that. If they play Taylor Heineke,
I feel less good.
Yeah, feel less good. Who knows? And then it's New York that's currently a train wreck, right? Like they'll get Saquon back, but it's still a train wreck. So golden opportunity here, KDot.
There's definitely some opportunities in the stretch. I don't know, man. I'm still waiting for the defense to show it to me because I just haven't seen it yet. The best performance they had was against Josh Dobbs in week 1. Like that's the only okay performance the defense has had is against Josh Dobbs in week 1.
Right.
Josh Dobbs, who got picked up days before the fucking game started. Like, that's like, I haven't seen anything. Like, and I know the last two opponents we have are juggernauts, but we also had a Jalen Hurts who still doesn't look great.
Right. And then he looks good against us.
And then, all right, the Buffalo Bills. All right, that was clearly, we got outclassed, but I don't think anybody expected anything really different there.
And then they beat Miami. They put up 48. So like
the main thing with Buffalo was it was the worst we've ever seen Sam Howell play. And then the thing with Sam Howell is that he came back. I am a lot less worried in this game about the offense. I'm not worried about Sam. I'm not worried about the offense. The only thing I'm worried about the offense is what the sack number totals look like at the end, because I'm still of an idea of there is a war of attrition when it comes to hitting a quarterback.
Sure.
And if it comes down to it, even if Sam Howell throws for 500 fucking yards and 6 TDs, if he gets sacked 4 times.
Can we stop there for a second? Imagine if he does that. I mean, holy cow. That would be amazing. So cool.
But if he gets hit 10 times and that is going to take a toll. We've got 100%. We've got a lot 100%. Of great defenses. We still haven't faced the fucking Cowboys, and they going to get some licks in. So it's like the idea that I'm going to expect Sam Howell, who's still on pace. Like, we thought that they did a good job last week. They gave up 5 fucking sacks.
It's progress. What do you want?
Once again, I'm not worried about our offense against Chicago Bears outside of Sam Howell getting hit. I am legitimately worried about our fucking defense.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, this is because I do think the Bears are talented enough. We didn't talk about this, and should have. Tevin Jenkins is probably one of their tackles from last season, second-round pick, is probably coming back for this game on their line. So that could make a difference. Now, he would be coming back still injured. He's been limited in practice, or might have been full, actually. But we still have plenty on the D-line to be able to harass Fields. This is where we need to learn about the secondary. This is where we need to learn about those stunts. Do they finally happen? Do we finally see some sort of game plan for the front 4 against a different offensive line? So I'm agreeing with you. This is where we need to see it from Del Rio, right? Who we both believe, let's keep it a buck, we both believe is hiding behind the talent of this defense, right? Like, again, we have invested so much on this side of the ball. And thinking about it from last year, I smiled while you were talking, because now you're at the point, at least against this kind of team, I'm not worried about the offense. And all of last year, it was like, man, the offense, if we could just get it going, the defense is playing well. And here we are. The offense, not really worried about them against a bad team. It's the defense we're worried about. It's against a bad team.
Well, I'd say this. I knew kind of what to expect with the offense last year because of our quarterback situation. So it was like, we're arguing back and forth every week about whether or not it should be Taylor or Carson or give Sam Howell a shot.
Was there an argument there?
We argued between Carson and Taylor.
We did. Yeah. Okay. So we had differing opinions.
We and you, yes. But there wasn't about whether or not the offense was going to take off. It was whether or not the offense could just do enough. Because we had very low expectations.
Would you say that Sam Howell has given us the best QB play in 2 years?
Yes.
Agreed.
I'd also say it's a low bar, but he's cleared it.
I would also
cleared it. He's way cleared it. This is the best quarterback play we've seen in Washington since Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And he apparently has an ability to bounce back.
Yes, it's just
pretty cool.
It's still, if he's getting hit, it's a problem. He's still on pace for over 100 sacks this year.
I am also concerned about the man's health.
And then the one thing, the defensive, like the Jack Del Rio thing. I appreciate Jack Del Rio. I have been a fan of his in the past. I thought he didn't get a fair shake as a Raiders coach.
Okay. Yeah.
I liked him in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
I probably don't agree with him politically on anything. That did. I'm 100% just trying to lay it all out, right?
Yeah.
He was annoying as far as that shit went last year. I've yet to see anything defensively from us, even when things were good, that made me think it was him. There are other defensive coordinators, even here in Washington, there are other defensive coordinators where I'm like, that's that guy's defense. And
even here in Washington. Oh, I see. As in the past. Okay.
Yeah, in the past.
I was like, is there some guy in like South? Do we need to know about somebody you know about that is just sitting waiting for this opportunity?
But I know that he's probably not the best name to say, but like, I know a Greg Williams.
Let's talk about Greg
defense when I see him.
Williams. I was gonna say, let's talk about Greg Williams.
But I know a Greg Williams defense when I see a Greg Williams defense. Like,
oh yeah, we had the Washington no names, for example. You remember that? When he literally just walked in here and all of a sudden we were like the 4th or 5th ranked defense with people you hadn't heard of, frankly, right? Until the season. So yes, I would agree with you.
I'm pulling up a list.
Still thinking about
Joe Barry. I knew that defense. I could see that defense.
Sure.
I knew exactly what was that.
What about Jim Haslett? You feel that way? I didn't like Jim.
I didn't say that I like Jim. I'm saying that I could see Jim's defense.
I could never see his defense.
I'm not saying it was good. I'm saying that I could see.
I'm also not. No one's going to say it's good. But
I'm just saying.
What I'm saying is, I could not even see the identity of that defense. It's harder to see the identity when the defense isn't playing well. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
because like, you know, and so I think that's sort of my thing with Jim Haslett, for example. But Greg Williams, I could see the identity, right? But that's all because
he's an all-timer.
Yeah, he is an all-timer.
But Del Rio is supposed to be thought of as an all-timer.
That's what I mean.
Look at the stats, though. If you look at the stats, bro, because you know what, I'm going to do that because
I do that because I think we're running into a similar conversation with Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, who to me are household names in the NFL. They've been around forever, but then once you dive into the stats, it's actually like, okay, we're looking at sort of middle of the pack. I'm not going to disrespect either one of them by saying they're bad because I don't think they are. But I do think that they are middle of the pack type coaches. And when you're looking to win a Super Bowl, it just doesn't seem like either one's going to truly cut it. I do think they both have the talent to at least make us a good team and we can have the conversation from there. More than happy to. But until we see that, it feels like we're kind of underachieving with the talent we have.
So his defensive ranks. Okay. So let's look outside. Let's just look at him being a defensive coordinator.
Sure.
Let's do that.
Okay.
So first year's 2002 in Carolina. Defense, second in yards, 5 in points. But let's break that down. So 2002 Carolina Panthers is when he takes over the defense. 2001, they were absolutely god awful. So you got to give him some credit. That was George Seifert, 1 in 15, and then in 2002.
Okay, so the flip occurs. Got it.
Right. And remember, Jack Del Rio's a John Fox guy. So that's John Fox takes over in Carolina. Because because then he's a head coach for a while.
Over in Jacksonville, right?
This is This is when he gets to the job. So Carolina Panthers finished top 2 in defense. He gets the head coach. Del Rio gets a job.
Right.
There you go. And now let's go back. So going back to the team rankings. So he's a head coach at Jacksonville. Then he goes to Denver to be the defensive coordinator in Denver. He's there in Denver for 3 years with John Fox. The defensive rankings for each of those teams. 2012 2012 yards. Second.
Okay.
Points 4. 2013, 19 and 22. 2014, 3 and 16. You also got to remember, this is a defense with Champ Bailey, Wesley Wood, a bunch of fucking talented dudes on this defense.
And Vaughn was on that squad too, right?
All of them are there in Denver at that particular point in time, right? Like the defense was stacked,
it was incredible.
Which makes me think, all right, what's your scheme compared to what's the talent you then just have with you, right? And then he goes to then he gets, after the performance of that Denver defense, he gets the head coaching position in Oakland. And I'm trying to keep the head coaching stuff off.
No, you have to keep that off because when he's defensive coordinator, it is literally directly tied to him. It doesn't necessarily lend itself when you're a head coach to being directly tied.
It better not be, because here's the thing. If you look at the defenses with him being a head coach,
okay,
you'd say, why does this guy have a job?
Okay. So there you go. So like, but that to me says middle of the pack, right? So like, this is an opportunity to be able to turn around against the entire narrative. God, this game really is just a narrative changer, right? Across the board. Because
in Oakland, he never had a defense ranked above 20.
You gotta be kidding me. So like, this could be this 3-game stretch, Chicago, at Atlanta, at New York Giants. This could change everything. Even taking 2 of 3 could change it considerably. It's crazy. Like,
I'm not even, it's a matter of
3 in a row, certainly.
It's just, who are we? That's what I'm looking for. I just want to know who we are.
Yeah. So I would say 3-0. 3-0 is the true narrative changer to we are a good team. That's just what's going to happen, right? We win 3 in a row. No matter who it's against, people are just going to look at it and just go, this team is 5-2. They're good. If we go 2-1 or 1-2, this team is who we thought they were, right? Not particularly consistent, winnable games, taking 2 of 3 and you're 4-3. Still middle of the pack, 3-4. They could have won 2, but maybe they're just not that good. You go 0-3, this team sucks, right? And then we're probably looking at coaching changes and stuff like that.
That's the only thing I think you can get out of this positively in this stretch. The most that anyone could say about this team is that we're not terrible.
No, that we're good.
I don't think that comes out of these games.
Being 5-2, you don't think so?
No, because
Okay.
we looked at the Pittsburgh Steelers team that was 12-0, and we beat them, and they weren't great. Like I just think that
but that's because Ben wasn't throwing the ball more than 4 yards.
You can beat up the Chicago if we skunk the Chicago Bears tonight. We skunk them.
Okay,
that's okay. The Washington defense, who's been giving up 30-something points a game, beat Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears defense. Good for them,
right?
Then you have the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Ridder will probably still be the starter by then.
It should be Taylor. I think we've seen enough.
I've been saying that from the beginning of the year that the Atlanta Falcons could be a playoff contender if they got.
Well, the reason I picked them for so few wins was because I thought they would stick with Ridder the whole season. If they continue to, I will be right.
I knew that Ridder's not going to last the season.
Well,
so the Atlanta Falcons are also a mess. Defensively, a lot feistier than people give them credit for, but offensively, a shit show. We beat them. Okay, it's the Falcons. Then you have the New York Giants, who are a train wreck, a national stage train wreck.
Yeah.
You beat them. If you go 3-0 through those 3 games, right?
You would be beating them with Saquon Barkley there too.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Literally doesn't matter as far as the national narrative and what it is that they're going to talk about.
I think it would. I think every conversation would be, is this 5-2 team? You know the list, pretender or real? Yeah.
Are they that's what we would be. And I think majority of the national narrative would be we are pretenders. And I wouldn't fault them for saying that, because the only test to me is what happens with Philly at the end of this run.
Right. And that's exactly it. So for 5-2, we're playing a Philly team we know we can hang with. And then
it's not about hanging on them. You got to beat them.
Understood. Well, okay. You know what? So then let's talk about this 2-point conversion one final time, and then we got to go.
Okay.
Because I know I said at the end of last episode, it's over, move on. I haven't quite done that. So here's the thing. Coming out and saying this team is gassed.
I didn't love that.
I hated it, right? Because guess who else? And I don't think we hammered it enough in the episode. The Philadelphia defense would have been, I know, I was trying to be nice, but this Philadelphia defense would have also been gassed. Clearly, you just marched down the field on them. They would have been tense. How are we even in this spot on time down from the 2-yard line? They would have been tense. It was bullshit. Been nervous.
The gas thing was bullshit.
Our guys were gassed. You're pro football players. It's a pro football team, and you just showed everybody. It's not like it was 17-16 where you go, okay, that was a pretty cool drive, but we haven't done that all day. It was 31-30 KDot on the road. A 2-point conversion wins it. There have been points everywhere. Grab 2 more. And no one would have been upset if we had missed it. We would have been like, okay, we were over a touchdown underdogs. It is what it is. Riverboat run. You can't call them that anymore, by the way. Team was
that's
gassed.
over.
Get the fuck out of here. Team was gassed.
All right. I
don't even remember my point.
I don't either. I'm gonna let you. I'll let you cut your.
Thank
you. Clearly, the point was I'm frustrated about the 2-point conversion. That's fine.
Thank you.
You explicitly got that on.
Yes.
I disagree. I'm sticking with the same energy that I had, where she was like, I had to, in the emotional aspect of it. The biggest thing that I will fall, if we don't get it, there is more than enough people that will have enough ammunition to go after. I truly think it's one.
Are you serious?
I truly think it's one of those things.
I was under the assumption that most of the fan base would have been able to go, we can live with that.
No.
Wow.
Because once again, I also think that
okay.
I'm going to toot my own horn just a little bit. I'm one of the few people in this fan base that's level-headed.
You Yes, you are.
Y'all ain't. It's just not
True, but it's not. KDot, we could have complained about
and
the call.
and here's
work.
here's the other part. What has now come to fruition? If there was a poll right now, Ron Rivera's in the 30s, 20s, if not 30. They don't like him here anymore. That's been the case.
Oh, you're talking about started. Like almost as if like a presidential, just like how are we doing? Right, got it.
Approval.
I was like, why can't I find that right approval rating? It would be in the 20s or 30s. You are
since last year. All right, he
going for 2, even if we had missed, I think would have made it more favorable.
The only thing that would have changed anything is if we win the fucking game.
And here's could have from the 2-yard line.
And here's the thing: Daron Rivera approval rating would have gone up maybe 5 points. It wouldn't have been because of his decision.
I think 5 points is too high, but
yeah, probably. That's the thing. We would have just been a happier fan base. I don't think it would have changed anything.
Okay, fair enough. Well, anyway, this was the show. We gotta go, but we will talk to you guys later. If you want to chime in about the 2-point conversion, you're more than welcome to. All right, we'll see you guys.
Leave me alone.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.